bright-eyed fifth formers, confident sixth formers commenced the 2019-2020 academic year expecting intensive studies in traditional brick and mortar classrooms and culminating their high school experience in the annual Grand Hampton School June graduation ceremony. COVID-19 turned the tide, but we have risen to the challenge, and after 4 months of virtual classes, here we are, celebrating the achievements of the class of 2020 in today's virtual graduation ceremony.
I am Wesley Barrett, Chair of the School Board of Hampton School. I greet all in cyberspace sharing in this service, the Hampton School Virtual Valedictory Service for the class of 2020. Firstly, I would want to warmly welcome this class, whose achievement we celebrate today in this unconventional way. We salute them for their focus on completing their program of study and achieving their full potential so far at Hampton, one of Jamaica's leading and exemplary secondary schools. Like some others, this class has become the first to complete their studies in the dual mode of face-to-face and distance learning. With refinement, we hope this will be a model for the future. Congratulations to class 2020. It is well not only to welcome the principal and the entire staff of this illustrious institution, but also to cite them for good work in preparing this program. Their professionally distinguishable work in teaching and in providing administrative and auxiliary services has contributed enormously to the school's continuous success. This well-rounded, competent, and dedicated staff remains a gem and accounts primarily for the record of the school's performance decade after decade. Recognizing that the good school advances through good neighborhoods and the Parent-Teachers Association, the board of the school continues to welcome the support of PTA and friends around and greets them warmly on this occasion. The school is indeed in the debt of the Hampton PTA. Perhaps the body that most exemplifies the character and spirit of Hampton School is the Hampton Old Girls Association, known nationally and internationally as HOGA. HOGA is futuristic and exudes confidence and innovation in delivering first-class support to the school, particularly through the offer of scholarships and bursaries. On this occasion, it would be remiss not to commend HOGA for the example it sets for the student body and the inspiration it provides for the wider school community. Well done, HOGA. Most importantly, the board wishes to greet the Monroe and Dickinson Trust and the founders of the school for the tremendous and sustaining guidance and support since the establishment of the school in 1858. We will ask immediate past chair, Dr. Brian Morgan, and the present chair, Dr. John Gordon, to convey to the past and present trust members our acknowledgement of their seminal role in advancing the growth and welfare of the institution. We truly thank the trust. I make a few short remarks here. As early as May, it became clear to us that the conventional mode of holding our valedictory service had to be discarded. As a learning and thinking school, we reflected that not only this ceremony, but would have to change in format, but also the very educational process. Recalling that in 1988, the Commonwealth of Learning was founded to promote open and distance learning, and recognizing that globally, this form of organizing and delivering education to all, everywhere and anytime, was becoming a mainstay of the educational delivery system, we consider this mode as a priority component of the mix of strategies we would have to adopt in our teaching learning programs going forward. We consider too that we would have to make strategic investments in modern but appropriate digital technologies for the immediate future in order to make teaching and learning more impactful and enjoyable. Mindful of the need for teachers to upskill in delivering education from a distance and in improving the quality of the face-to-face interactions, we have decided that this will be a focal point for the board from now on. If parents, and not the least policymakers, appreciate the challenges and many possibilities of the fusion of face-to-face and e-learning, they will hopefully support our school and indeed others in the emerging paradigm shift in delivering quality secondary education for all. Hampton commits to the robust development of the mixed mode of delivering academic and social education, and I stress social education, during the next academic year, and solicits the full support, however simple, of everyone. Lastly, I must thank the board members for their sterling work and the plans formulated for continuing the rich tradition of Hampton School. Once again, I welcome all.
Let us pray. God of the universe, all power and honor belong to you. You have given us this opportunity to celebrate in this school evening exercise for students of the Hampton School. We give you thanks and praise for all stakeholders who played an essential role in their development. The Board of Governors, the principal and vice principals, for persons in administration, the academic ancillary staff. We give you thanks also, God, for the parents and the guardians, for all benefactors of this noble institution, as well as other family members and friends. May this grand occasion be one of thankfulness to you, O God, for all that you have done for these students. May it also serve as a reminder to them of your faithfulness tireless in ensuring about their well-being as they continue their pursuit of their academic goals and development, knowing that you are with them always in all that they do. And so we place this school leaving exercise now into your hands, as we ask your blessing upon it, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. As our Savior has taught us, so we pray the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Good afternoon. The scripture reading is taken from Philippians 4, and I'll be reading from verses 4 through to 9, and it reads, "Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say, rejoice. Let your moderation be known unto all men. The Lord is at hand. Be careful for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. And the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Ninth and last, those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do, and the God of peace shall be with you." Here endeth the reading of God's holy word. We honor it by saying, Amen.
Chairman Mr. Wesley Barrett and members of the Board of Governors, Principal Mrs. Charlton Brown and members of staff, parents and guardians, students of Hampton, and most importantly, ladies of graduating class 2020. I bring you greetings from the Monroe and Dickinson Trust. Today is a historical day for Hampton School, and specifically so for the ladies of graduating class 2020, and probably so too for other institutions with similar occasions. COVID-19 pandemic has indeed had and continues to have devastating effect on the world. To date, approximately 15 million persons have contracted this illness. It has claimed the lives of over 600,000 persons. It has destroyed families, businesses, some countries' economies. It has practically closed all educational institutions worldwide. Relatively speaking, on the global scale, Jamaica has been spared its onslaught, for which we are thankful. But it's not yet over, and we all, without exception, need to be watchful and continue to observe the preventative and corrective recommendations of the authorities. Life must go on. Ladies of class 2020, today is your day, and tomorrow is yours because your preparation over the past 5 or 7 years, and particularly over the past difficult 6 months, have earned you a passport to the future. In spite of all the adversities and challenges of this year, you have been resilient, and with the guidance of some of the best and dedicated teachers, and of course, parents and guardians, you have overcome probably the most difficult hurdle in your development. It seemed impossible, but you have done it. Within a few months, some of you will be seeking employment. But I suspect that most of you will matriculate to universities or colleges here or abroad. But whether in the working environment or in university or college, home or abroad, the new chapter in your life will differ significantly from the immediate past. You invariably will be without the guidance of your favorite teachers. You will make new friendships and hopefully new enemies. Whatever you do, our message to you is to aim beyond the skies. Let no obstacle stand in the way in your pursuit of excellence. Be mindful of the company you keep. It's commonly said, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. In the same breath, the Jamaican proverb says, play with puppy, puppy lick your mouth. Play with big dog bite you. And in English, familiarity breeds contempt. Be mindful of your association. Start every day with a new hope. Leave bad memories behind and have faith for a better tomorrow. Keep your standard high. Life is a journey. The only problem is that it does not come with a map. You have to search your own routes to reach your destination. May your journey be one that you will not regret. May it be one that makes your parents and guardians and all associated with your alma mater proud. And upon reaching your destination, may you say it wasn't easy, but it was worth it. Always pray to have eyes that see the best in people, a heart that forgives the worst, a mind that forgets the bad, and a soul that never loses faith in the Almighty. Class of 2020, Monroe and Dickinson Trust wishes you success in all your endeavors and congratulates you on this extraordinary day, a day never to be forgotten. Congratulations.
Master of Ceremonies, distinguished guests, members of the Board of Management, principal, well-wishers, parents, and graduates. I am indeed proud to be sharing with you on behalf of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, especially your Region 5 family, the Region of Champions, on this year's special graduation ceremony. Let me hasten to salute you for the substantial growth that you have come to realize as an institution. Successive leaders of this institution have exposed the ideology that education is the tool with which one can most successfully change the world. This position, ladies and gentlemen, has been evidenced in the cadre of graduates that this school consistently produce, who have excelled and continue to make their mark in nation building. The Ministry of Education has its own strategic objectives, and as far as we can see, we are satisfied that students of Hampton Girls would have been exposed to quality care, education, and training. Our graduates would have asked themselves one question especially in recent days: just where did time go? Because for them, it would seem as if only yesterday they entered the precincts of this noble institution. They will even ask other pointing questions. What memories have I created, great or small? What impression or impact did I leave on this school I have come to love for all that it did for me in the most impressionable period of my life? This question came even more relevant as the final year has been quite historic for these students. This is more so because of the experiences they would have had with COVID-19 pandemic. Now, these questions, ladies and gentlemen, would have come against the background that this pandemic would have come with some unique demands, such as the wearing of masks, as many of us would do today. The virtual teaching and learning experiences that our students have been exposed to, and the socializing protocols we all have to observe. Just look at the approach being taken with this graduation, and you will understand more the uniqueness that I speak about. Students, you will never leave here the way you came. But certainly, you would have come to understand, even by way of the COVID experience, the greatness of God in your lives. You must now see those experiences as lessons learned. You must now package them and use them as guides into the next rung of the ladder that you will take, be it tertiary education, be it the world of work. You will need these experiences. So parents, to you, you are asked to continue to be strong supporters of your children. This is something that you have come to accept as your bound duty. So if they are going to keep the flag of success flying high, they will be needing your undivided support. We will not overlook as a ministry your efforts to interpret and utilize the diverse curriculum. This was done towards the improved performances you continue to achieve in the exit examinations, and the positive and strong stakeholder support that you continue to build. It is worthy mentioning the excellent results that you have also received as a result of the National Inspectorate examination. You continue to commit to providing an inclusive education for your students, thus making them into wholesome human beings. Quite fitting for the time we live in, ladies and gentlemen. Hampton, you must have given thought to the fact that the human mind is comparable in its earliest stages to a seed needing a nurturing environment in which to grow. And this school has so provided such a carefully measured environment for the hundreds of students who walk its halls each day. I therefore take this opportunity with pride to express hearty congratulations to the Board of Governors, led by Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education, former, who would have worked tirelessly with school administration to ensure that operational procedures are adhered to and that the school's development is paramount. Thank you, Mr. Wesley Barrett. The quiet, creative, and yet dynamic principal, Mrs. Charlton Brown, would have demonstrated that the quality of an organization's leadership will be the determinant of that organization's success. Now, to our teachers. A good teacher can inspire hope, ignite imagination, and instill a love of learning. I therefore commend our teachers for their inexhaustible dedication to duty, especially during the COVID experiences and the special efforts that you made to have students learn. Indeed, I express deep congratulations to the non-academic staff who would have made indelible contributions to the success of Hampton. Therefore, the non-academic staff, dedicated teachers, a rich lineage of principals, and strong boards of governors that have served Hampton girls over the many, many years, you would have maintained a standard of quality and excellence for which we are proud. And so we thank you. And then finally, I must note that the Ministry of Education remains committed to ensuring that Hampton Girls remains a success story. Now, my final note to our graduates. You would have done well and made us proud. Such a great achievement, however, must have been evoked through determination and unflinching resolve. As you set out to feature the work of outstanding students, past and present, may your efforts be richly blessed. It was Theodore Roosevelt who posits, nothing in the world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort, pain, difficulty. In other words, nothing that is worthwhile comes without a struggle. As you reflect, students, I trust your steadfastness and persistence will impregnate your tenacity to achieve even greater things, and that you don't waste time living other people's lives, but be your best self and keep that graph of success rising high every day. Thank you, Hampton. Thank you for helping to realize the Ministry of Education's Vision 2030 ideals. May God continue to bless you richly as you continue to serve the children of Jamaica.
Your life is your story, and the adventure ahead of you is the journey to fulfill your own purpose and potential. Dr. John Gordon, Chairman of the Monroe and Dickinson Trust, members of the Monroe and Dickinson Trust, Dr. Nadine Leachman, Regional Director of the Ministry of Education, Region 5, Mr. Wesley Barrett, Chairman of the Board of Management, Ms. Coral Ray, Senior Education Officer, Mr. Andrew Miles, Territorial Education Officer, Mrs. Mavelle Charlton Brown, Principal, Mrs. Roseanne Lowndes and Miss Sharon Powell, Vice Principals, Miss Judith Montague, President of the Hampton All Girls Association, members of the Hampton All Girls Association, our guest speaker, Mrs. Nicole McLaren Campbell, members of the academic, administrative, and auxiliary staff, parents, fellow graduates, a pleasant morning to you all. It is an esteemed honor to introduce the keynote speaker for this historic graduation ceremony. She is an entrepreneur, educator, speaker, goal accelerator strategist, author, co-founder of the Women Winning Now movement, and founder of AIM Educational Services. She attended the St. Andrew High School for Girls, after which she furthered her education at Princeton University, the University of London School of Advanced Study, and School of African and Oriental Studies. Her work ethic is one worthy of emulation and has earned her jobs within the public sector. She worked at the Ministry of Education, Industry, Technology, Energy, and Commerce. She also served as the Senior Policy Analyst to the Minister of Education, now Prime Minister, Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Regarded as one of the most influential voices on empowerment, education, parenting, and entrepreneurship, she was selected to speak at the Paris headquarters of the UNESCO as a part of the Give One Emerging Global Leaders Conference in 2017, where she was presented with their Women in Leadership Award. This Beam of Light is a 2018 recipient of the Governor General's Award for Excellence in Achievement and Leadership. She was appointed National Productivity Ambassador by the Ministry of Labor and Social Security in 2019. She is wife to Jeffrey, mom to 8-year-old Lauren, 6-year-old Joshua, and bonus mom to 12-year-old Ali. A self-professed inspirational quote junkie, her motto is aim high and be bold, and her mission is to squeeze every ounce of life from life. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your thumbs and keypads together and help me welcome Mrs. Nicole McLaren Campbell.
Hello, hello, hello. Congratulations, winners, or should I say graduates. I want to congratulate each and every one of you, but also to your parents, your guardians, your friends who have supported you, all of your loved ones, of course, your teachers who I am sure have had to exercise more than a little patience, and your entire school for bringing you to this point. Now, the truth is that we are in some unprecedented times, right? And your theme is awakening your passion, igniting your passion. The world awaits, and it's a world that's way different from any world that we could have imagined in life, right? But one thing I know for sure is that wherever there are problems, right behind those, there are opportunities. And the opportunities belong to the people who train their brains to see opportunities where other people see problems. Now, that advice was given to me about 10 years ago, right when I was going to start AIM, my college counseling business, by a mentor of mine, Mr. Glenn Christian, who owns and operates the CariMed Group, which he started out of the back seat of the back of a pickup truck, having not even owned his first pair of shoes until he was like 12 years old, right? So I think, and growing his business to this multi-million-dollar empire that it is now, I would take his advice for sure. One thing he also told me was that just when he wanted to go into business, everybody told him that there were no opportunities and said that Jamaica was mashing up. And what he said is, what he told me is that he's always heard this narrative, Jamaica is mashing up, Jamaica is mashing up. And yet, when he looked around him, he saw people who were doing well in business and achieving excellence, so why not him? And so that's one of the first things I want to say to you is, why not you? That should always be your question. Why not you? Because if that's the way you approach things, then you are going to be among the few in this world who are able to see possibilities where others see problems, and that's going to help you significantly as you move toward achieving your goals. Now, in addition to running AIM, College Prep Business, I also run the Goal Accelerator Club, and I work with women who are trying to achieve their goals and balance their entire lives. Women whose lives, our lives become more and more complicated as we go along in a great way, because all these different elements that we want to be a part of our lives are introduced, like husband and children, and maybe a business, or definitely a career. And so I want to give you more of those kind of tips that are going to help you as you navigate this uncertain world where most people are looking at problems. I already told you to look at possibilities. The other thing you ask yourself is, why not you, right? So whenever you're looking at something, the fear is always there, but you always ask, why not you? Another thing I wanted to tell you to do for sure is always ask. And when I say always ask, is never be afraid. Always assume that you can get it. Don't assume that you can't get it. And this relates to anything and everything, right? And I hope that you're imprinting these in your brains. Maybe you can get this recording. And I just wanted to give you these really practical tips that you can make sure to implement as you go out into the world, no matter what your interest might be, right? So always assume that you can get it. This has played out so many ways in my life. the lesson here is that closed mouths don't get fed. Never be afraid of a no. When I just wanted to start AIM, right, I had no contacts. Hampton certainly wouldn't be calling me to do their graduation. Okay, that was just a distant dream. I remember the first graduation speech I got called to. I was so excited because when I was going into this world of advising students, I had no experience, and the competition had been in the business for decades in Jamaica. Nobody knew who I was. When I called schools and I wanted to connect with students, I couldn't even get access to schools. I just had to keep asking. I had to keep knocking on the door until those no's turned to yeses. Now I have great relationships with so many universities, I can just call them up. But at first, when I called them up, they didn't know who I was and they didn't want to take the call, right? So be so good that they can't ignore you. That's another piece of advice. Be so good that they can't ignore you, and don't be afraid of the no, and keep knocking, keep asking. Can I come and make a presentation? Can I, whatever it is that you want out of life, ask. Don't be afraid to hear no. Guess what? If you hear the no, which you must hear, because if you're asking, you're not always going to be yes. So I'm not here to try and trick you. Oh, the answer is always going to be yes. It's not always going to be yes, but sometimes it will be yes. And the more you ask, and the more you try, and the more you go after things, the law of probability. I know you just finished with exams, so I don't mean to give you any unwelcome reminders, but the law of probability tells you, girls, that of course, the more you ask, the more you go after, is the increased likelihood that something is going to work out and that the answer is going to be yes. I think the worst thing, the worst failure that you can have is not to ask, because you're guaranteeing a no if you don't ask. The worst thing you can do is not go after it, because you're guaranteeing that it won't work out. And guess what? Your fear of failure is the most boring thing about you. Yes, I know. God made us unique and special. He did. But we're all afraid. We're all afraid every time. You have to push to that next level, and you have to go to that next level. That fear is going to be there, right? And it's going to make you feel like you can't move forward, and it's going to feel like you're on the edge of a cliff, and you're going to try and sabotage yourself and procrastinate your way out of your next level. And I'm here to tell you, I hope you just remember my voice. The fear is natural. Everybody feels it. It doesn't make you special. It doesn't make you unique. Keep taking action anyway. Feel the fear. Get familiar with it. Hello, fear. How are you today? What's up? I know you're there. I'm going to take the next step. Oh my gosh, I've been terrified so much of the past 3 months when COVID hit. Do you want me to go into the COVID story? But what it has really taught me is that the fear is not going away. No matter how much you feel like, oh, you've achieved success in this area and this area, you shouldn't be afraid. It's never going to go away. Even Oprah was talking about when she had to start that new network and she was feeling some fear. Mind you, remember that the first Oprah got fired from her first TV gig for not having enough on-stage chemistry, okay? So you would think big old Oprah never encountered failure or disappointment, big lie. And then even so far in her career, after she had made all these boss moves, she was still experiencing fear, and that network was shaky for a while there. And so still experience setbacks and failure. So I am here to just normalize the whole idea of failure and hearing no. It's okay. It's gonna happen as long as you're making moves. You should be more worried about if you're not hearing no and if you're not experiencing any failure, because what it says, girls, is that you are static. You're not making any moves. And if you're not making any moves, you can't have success, right? So always assume that you can ask and that you can get it, and ask. Don't be afraid to hear a no. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Now, I did touch a little bit on COVID, right? Because you might be thinking, well, what am I going to do? What kind of jobs? What kind of world am I going into? And so I'm going to put on my little college counselor hat here and give you some advice. I definitely encourage you to continue with your studies, right? Definitely continue with your studies, because if you're moving on, and I hope you are moving on to tertiary education, you want to have the most advanced course of study in order to be competitive, especially to get scholarships, which are harder to get now that COVID has reduced the income of universities, right? So that's just some little practical college counselor advice there for you. But when I was experiencing my whole COVID fear, you know, I'm running two businesses, I'm an entrepreneur, my husband is a recording artist. Do you guys know him? Did you watch his Sumfest performance? If you have not watched his Sumfest performance, you need to Google it right now, Agent Sasko. Anyway, the point is that we're both entrepreneurs, right? So I'm an entrepreneur, he's an entrepreneur. COVID hits, all his shows get canceled overnight. Girls, I'm here to tell you the fear was real because the bills need to get paid, okay? I don't know if you ever tried telling JPS. Actually, I shouldn't even talk about JPS because those bills went all the way up during COVID and mine's still up. But my point is, I was scared. It's just the truth. All his shows got canceled overnight. I'm wondering, is the world still keeping? Like, are people gonna do SAT classes? What is the summer gonna look like? A lot of our clients couldn't pay their bills. It was a very stressful time, and I had a choice, and I knew I had a choice. And in that moment, I had to step up and be a leader. I had to be a leader, and I want to really emphasize the point that each and every one of you are leaders, and you must consciously exercise leadership in your lives. Leadership doesn't need to have a title. It doesn't mean you need to own a business. It doesn't mean you need to be the boss of somebody. But personal leadership of self is so important. And then I'm a mom as well, right? I'm a wife. I control the pulse of my house. So if I get all down and depressed, then the whole mood of the house goes down. What I knew for sure is running away, hiding, pretending it wasn't happening, and saying, woe is me, was not going to be the move. So always, when the challenges come, you have to remember and hold true to the core of who you are. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You have every single thing that you need to achieve success, no matter what the circumstances are. You are daughters of the Most High. You were born for greatness. Period. Point blank. So I had to remind myself of that and then step up in order to see the opportunities, even if they were different because of the new problems and the new reality in the world. So I stepped up as a leader in terms of the Goal Accelerator Club where I coach women. I showed up as a leader for them. We're talking about how do you make yourself indispensable at work. I thought about, what kind of problems must they be facing and how can I give them resources to help to solve them, right? They still are looking to me as leaders. With my kids on homeschool, I don't know, I think I'm a failure. Big up all the teachers, big up all the teachers. I think I failed at homeschooling, but I did try my best, thank God they're going back to school. As a wife too, I had to be there for my husband, given that all his shows had been canceled. Thank God he was more there for me than I was for him because he was just able to keep such a positive attitude, such a positive mindset. And out of that, so many opportunities started to just come to him that were different from live shows, obviously, because live shows weren't happening. But different opportunities were coming to him. Like he started to do a YouTube, signed a deal with Hardware and Lumber and started to do all these DIY projects. He always did them, but he just didn't have a deal. So he got a deal to do DIY things and he built this garden. And of course I get to benefit and eat all the food, thank God. But and different partnerships and then Sumfest and all these different things still happening, still putting out all these amazing songs, doing so well, partnerships, all these things coming out because he was able to keep his mind right. And contrary to what other people had been telling him, a few years ago he built a studio inside our home, which when the lockdown was on and nobody could get studio time anywhere and everything was closed, he was working around the clock because he had invested in building a studio in our home for him to get his work done, even though people were laughing at him at the time and telling him it was a waste of money. So out of that story, there are a few lessons, one of which is you have to follow your gut feeling and you must never hesitate to invest in yourself. That's the thing we need to reprogram our minds on, that you must invest in your next level. You must believe in yourself more than anybody else. That's your responsibility. That's your job. So when all the naysayers are saying what they need to say, you have to know in your gut what you need to do and don't hesitate to invest in yourself. And because I saw that example from him, he had carved out a space in our home for my home home office. And when I saw that investment he made in himself and his business a couple years ago, I set up my home office really like properly and everything on the big screen. And, you know, I spent a good while just putting in, because, you know, everything you have to do it slowly, like the wallpaper and the, you know, slowly but surely, so that by the time COVID hit, I actually had a space to work in. Mind you, my kids were coming in there every 5 minutes and driving me insane, but at least I had a workspace where I could dig deep to figure out what my next move was. And then a friend of mine who is the most unreasonable person I know, and that's the other thing, you've got to be unreasonable. Now, as you can see, I could be going on forever and ever, but I'm going to wrap up soon. I'm just going to make my final points. But be unreasonable. Never take no for an answer. Never assume that something is out of your reach. Never assume that no means no. No is just like a path on the way to yes, okay? No is a path on the way to yes. Never assume, again, that something is not for you or that you can't bend the world to suit you. Don't assume that just because that's the way it's always been done, that means it needs to continue to be done that way. So anyway, my unreasonable friend, my abundant friend said, you know what? Money has found its new riverbed, so people will need to shift to that riverbed. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. All right, what does this mean? I was like, okay, well, the world is gonna go on. It just might look a little different. So what do I need to do now? How can I serve people based on what they need and where they are? And so move AIM Educational Services onto being the AIM Online Academy, which has been a huge breakthrough of so a situation that was stressing me out so much that had me on my knees in tears turned out to be the best thing ever, because for 3 years I'd actually put on my vision board that I wanted location freedom, and by moving the AIM online, we were able to serve more people all over the world, and also to provide this service to people who need scholarships more than ever, right? We were able to launch a platform with free resources, and you guys can sign up for it at aimonlineacademy.com, but we made these free resources available. We moved our classes online, and now, you know, a dream of mine has been to reach more US students in the United States, more minority students, and we're doing our first minority student conference this Saturday. And I'm telling you, I'm still afraid. I'm making all these moves and I'm achieving success and I'm reaching my goals. I'm still afraid, but I'm moving because I'm doing something new. So I'm afraid. I've never tried to really access the US market before. What if nobody turns up to this conference? You know, what if? You know, I'm here, you're a speaker, so I should be this big example of success. And I'm just here to tell you, I'm doing it afraid. I'm still doing it afraid, and it's okay. I'm praying every single day, and I'm holding true to my mission and my purpose, and I'm holding strong on my faith. And speaking of mission and purpose, it's a perfect place to wrap up our talk, although you know I could go on forever. But don't go hunting for a treasure that you have not defined, and don't allow anyone to define what your treasure is. When I moved back to Jamaica after studying at Princeton University economics, being recruited by Wall Street, spent 2 summers on Wall Street, the most money I've ever, like at that time, I'd ever seen in my life. And I decided I wanted to move back to Jamaica. There were a lot of naysayers. In fact, I moved back to Jamaica. I was working for the Ministry of Technology. Then I went to do my master's in London, back to Jamaica. And I was working at the Ministry of Education. And I got the idea to start AIM because I was volunteering. So volunteer. Just lean into your interests and volunteer in them, even if it doesn't pay at first, that's okay, but at least you get to explore what you like to do, right? So I knew I love to talk. I volunteered as an interviewer for Princeton and Andover. Andover is a boarding school I went to. And anyway, I met a young lady who I thought was excellent, but I just felt like she hadn't quite put her act together. So I figured she probably wouldn't get the scholarship, right, guys? And my heart went out, my gut, like this gut feeling. You have to listen to your gut, you know, you have to know the gut feelings. So I got this gut feeling like, I need to help her. But of course, I was working for Princeton. I'm not supposed to be helping her. And I went home to my boyfriend, who's now my husband, and I said, I really want to do this. And he, you know, he pushed me and encouraged me to do it. And that's the other thing. Be careful, girls. Sorry, side note. Be very careful about who you
some of these people in these streets come to pop you down. An emotional attack is how the devil works. And you know, women, we're emotional. So if you have somebody who is draining your energy and is not building you up and pushing you and want to grow with you and be great, and you don't have similar vision for life and purpose, then that's a problem. Meaning, of course, I'm in education. He's a recording artist. I don't mean to be interested or do the same things, but you need to have a general view of life and of making a difference, if you know, and of being. You have to have that similar vision and somebody who will pour into your life and uplift you and not drain you, because a lot of very talented, high potential women partner with the wrong people and they get drained. Anyway, back to my point. So I started AIM out of that interest of interviewing that one person and saying, oh my gosh, I need to help. So be open to volunteering, to leaning into the things you like, to trying things and not liking them, like how I tried investment banking, didn't like it, so much money, but I knew that if I was just working for money, I wouldn't be happy. And for me, I define my happiness as having fulfillment and being able to use my personality and the things I'm good at in service of my goals. And so, you know, I did do a public speaking class because I love to speak. I was excited to get this invitation to speak to you now, even though it's different from how we would normally do it, right? I was excited to get that invitation because it's something I love to do. Just because you love it don't mean you can't get better at it. Just because you're naturally good at it doesn't mean you can't achieve excellence, right? So always be trying to go up to that next level, but lean into the things that naturally interest you, and don't be afraid to volunteer and to pursue and to dig deep and to ask yourself the questions so that you arrive at a clear mission and vision for your life. You are not too young to do that. In fact, now is the time for you to really be thinking about the mission and vision that you have for your life, because that is what will guide you and help you to make decisions, to connect with the right people, and to give you that joy and fulfillment even as you live a life of excellence, unleashing passion and being of service to the world. And so on that note, many of you may know what you want to do, some of you don't. So I want to gift you with a 7-day Vision Unlock program that is not even open to the public right now, but I'm going to make it open just for you girls, where if you want to explore, you know, what might I want to do with my life, which direction might I want to be headed in, you know, I think I want to do this, but are there other things I could be thinking about? Then I'd be happy to give you that program completely free as my graduation gift to you. Your futures are dazzlingly bright. Whatever has come before this, any regrets that you might have, anything you wish you had done differently, I'm here to tell you it doesn't matter, because you are young. Oh my gosh, you're so young. Even if you've done nothing that you're proud of up to this day, tomorrow is another day, and where you are now, you can turn it all around, because people way older than you, people in their 40s and 50s and 60s have done it, okay? Donna Karan, you know, DKNY, like she didn't do her first design till she was in her 40s, Vera Wang actually, so Google it. Vera Wang. KFC man, Colonel Sanders, he was like in his 60s before he said, oh, restaurant, franchise. Okay, so I'm here to tell you, you guys are young and the whole future is ahead of you, and it's up to you now to decide and be deliberate about what your next move is, and always be guided by God and be guided by how you want to leave this world better than you found it. Congrats, winners! Bye.
Let us go to God in prayer for our children. God of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, we thank you for the blessing of this grand occasion, in which we are able to celebrate with our children who have now completed the secondary phase of their educational development. We thank you for those challenges and failures that they have had, which have enabled them to recognize their reliance on you as the God and Savior who will always help and enable them through this complete this important milestone, may they remember that their academic journey has just begun. Bless and enable them to put all their trust in you, bearing in mind that whatever they set their minds to, with your help, they will achieve it. So continue to sustain and keep them in all that they do, we pray. And this we ask through the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Dr. John Gordon, Chairman of the Monroe and Dickinson Trust, Dr. Nadine Leachman, Director, Region 5, Ministry of Education, Mr. Wesley Barrett, Chairman of the Board of Management of Hampton School, other members of the Board of Management, Senior Education Officers Miss Coral Ray, Mrs. Nevadine Gallimore Miller, Guest Speaker Mrs. Nicole McLaren Campbell, Principal of Monroe College Mr. Mark Smith, our Vice Principals Miss Roseanne Lowndes and Miss Sharon Powell, all teachers, administrative and ancillary staff, Miss Judith Montague, President of the Hampton Old Girls Association, HOGA, and the entire HOGA membership, Mr. Howard Hendricks, President of the PTA, members of the PTA executive, all parents, all students, all attendees, our ladies of the moment, class of 2020, I greet you well. It is my honor to present the review of the 2019-2020 academic year for Hampton School. School commenced for the 2019-2020 academic year on September 2, 2019, with an enrollment of 1,246 students, 982 of whom were day students and 264 boarders. We commenced the school year with the solid intent, the drive, and the focus necessary to sustain and even exceed the established and unmistakable Hampton achievements. Because only a few months ahead of this academic year, February 2019 to be precise, Hampton School was inspected by the National Education Inspectorate, the NEI, and was rated as operating at an exceptionally high level. On the heels of that outcome, Hampton School was also awarded by the Region 5 of the Ministry of Education for being the top performing school in Region 5. A success we received with joy and with pride, but also one we acknowledged as having been achieved through the concerted and committed efforts of all our teachers, all our staff, all our stakeholders, chief among them being our parents and their unreserved capital investments in our children. And so, we entered this academic year with the established mandate to consistently pursue organizational and student outputs of outstanding quality and worth, operating under the theme for 2019 to 2020, consolidating worth, fortifying excellence. And here we are, friends, 11 months, 3 earthquakes, 2 lightning storms, and 1 pandemic later, still resolute, still intently focused on providing optimal learning opportunities for our students. Today, we have a total of 296 graduates, and of that lot, 201 fifth formers and 95 sixth formers. Of this number, 177 ladies have received academic cords of excellence. 73 fifth and sixth formers have received blue cords. 67 fifth and sixth formers have received gold cords. 37 fifth and sixth formers have received intertwined cords reflecting the highest averages. Congratulations, ladies. Other graduates have excelled in other areas of school life, and the group includes members of the school's challenge quiz team, Portia Spence, Kedisha Salmon, Tanika Stewart, Cheryl Lewis, members of our renowned school choir, Salia Cooper, Monet Gale, Jelana Patrick, Yonique Waysam, Kimara Russell, Moyen Reed, Bianca Gooden, Raquel Williams, Ronelia Dinham, Joel Smith, Tashay Rowe, Sashan Brown, Chelsea Robinson, Caitlin Hammond, Bianca Walcott, Chinelo Izachuku, Sanice McLeod, Anna Ray Rowe, Sakaya Brown, Alia Williams, Sharik MacDonald, choir leader. Members of the Blueprint Steel Band, Torane Daly, Akishma Payne, Shanika Rowe, Abigail Griffiths, Chelsea Trout, Timothea Thompson, Chelsea Robinson, Huandra Hill, Moyen Reed. Members of the debating team, Akishma Payne, Jessica McKnight, Shanice Williams, Ryan Bernard, who was awarded Best Speaker for Round 2 of the Burger King National Secondary School Debate Championship. And our Spanish Festival Gold Medalist is Portia Spence. Our external examination results are also worth mentioning. Our 2019 external examination sittings were as follows. Our CSEC cohort was 182 ladies. Candidates sat 22 subjects and had 100% pass rate in 11 subjects, 91% to 99% pass rate in 7 subjects, 86 to 88% pass rate in 3 subjects, and of the total 1,385 CSEC entries, 45% earned distinctions with an overall pass rate of 96%. The following ladies ranked among the top 10 performers in the Caribbean on the CSEC examination regional merit list. Alfernia Scott, 2nd place in the Caribbean, Principles of Business. Tamoy Stewart, 9th place, Principles of Business. Our Cape cohort was 228 ladies. There was 100% pass rate in 29 of the 35 units sat, with an overall pass rate of 99%. And of the total 904 Cape entries, 32% earned distinctions. The following ladies ranked among the top 10 performers in the Caribbean on the Cape Examination Regional Merit List. Sophronia Biggs, 5th place, History, Unit 1. Rickay Marshall, 4th place, Law, Unit 1. Othandria Downs, 4th place, Tourism, Unit 1. Kendra Banton, 2nd place, Logistics and Supply Chain Operations, Unit 2. Jovina Rowe, 4th place, Logistics and Supply Chain Operations, Unit 2. Bianca Curtis, 6th place, Logistics and Supply Chain Operations, Unit 2 as well. Chanel Ibanks, 8th place, Logistics and Supply Chain Operations, Unit 2. Kishara Clark, 9th place, Logistics and Supply Chain Operations, Unit 2. Well-deserved commendations to the students, many of whom are members of this graduating class, and to the teachers of Hampton School. Financial awards. The PTA gave support to the tune of $100,000 for student medical assistance. Hoga bursaries and scholarships amounted to $3.8 million. 86 students benefited from sums ranging from $25,000 to $100,000. In addition, Hoga donated 18 tablets to young ladies needing devices to navigate the virtual learning environment during the COVID-19 pandemic. Tertiary education scholarships. Of the class 1376, Rayanne Bernard has earned the Panther Fund International Scholarship to the Florida Institute of Technology. Gianna Brown earned the York University International Scholarship of Merit and the Faculty of Science Entrance Scholarship. Reese Lloyd earned the University of Toronto International Scholar Award. Ashika Miller earned the J. Ray and Nephew Foundation Scholarship. Chelsea Trout earned the Texila American University of Medicine Merit Scholarship. Brianna Foster earned the Trial Fund Jamaica Scholarship. Tiana James earned the Faculty of Science Scholarship to York University. From the class of 1380, Danielle Brennan earned 5 scholarships to international universities, including Howard University. Timothea Thompson earned the Outstanding International Award to the University of British Columbia. And from the class of 1384, Jade Vassell earned the Trent International Award. Other awards include the Keon Joy Lindsay Scott Joy of Education Scholarship to the Shortwood Teachers College, earned by Shania Stewart, lower 6th form student. The following graduates will be attending medical school in Cuba in August 2020. Gianna Brown, Tina Smith, Daniel Williamson. Also, 3 lower 6th form students will be pursuing medicine in Cuba, and they are Brianna Reynolds, Megan Newman, and Tawana Samuels. Parents, friends, Hampton has always taken and continues to take seriously the business of educating the nation's children, and particularly the constituents of the communities we serve. The work of this school has been getting better and better and will continue to be so. As such, we thank our ever faithful, ever supportive parents for standing by our side. For all your work throughout this academic year, I thank all our teachers, administrative staff, auxiliary staff for their hard work, and I thank the alumni, Hoga, for their continued presence and support. It is true that together we achieve more. God bless you all. And now, it is my honor and pleasure to present to the Monroe and Dickinson Trust, the Board of Management of Hampton School, and to all witnessing their formal passage, the graduating class of 2020. I pronounce upon you, ladies, the blessing of Isaiah 42, verses 1 to 2. Fear not, you are mine, saith the Lord. When you pass through the waters of life, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers of difficulty, they will not overcome you. When you walk through the fire of oppression and resistance, you will not be burnt, neither shall the flames consume you, for I am your God, saith the Lord of hosts. God bless you, ladies, And as you begin a new segment of your lives, go with God. Thank you. I now present to you the grade 11 cohort of the graduating class of 2020. Congrats, ladies. 1152, Zoan Adams. Britannia Banton. Anicia Bennett. Beyonce Black. Lashana Brown. Sakea Brown. Kimberly Cameron. Jelorn Campbell. Natajer Chambers. Alia Clark. Alia Dawkins. Janelle Dennis. Shaneva Denton. Gianna Maria Ebanks. Brianna Fraser. Donnie Graham. Nakalia Hansen. Zari Honeygun. Danielle Johns. Brianna Jones. Alia Letman. Jody McCullough. Sanice McLeod. Jamisha Morrison. Renisha Mulgrave. Alia Nayoka. Moyan Reed. Sharia Reed. Tashay Rowe. Natasia Simpson. Tari Smith. Brianna Solas. Tamoy Stewart. Gabrielle Taylor. Thalia Thomas. Bianca Walcott. Gabrielle Thompson. Tishana Ware. Ashley Wellington. Sarah Alia Williams.
1156, Joshelle Allen. Mikal Banton. Jernay Bennett. Tiffany Blair. Sashara Brumfield. Onika Brown. Sashan Brown. Diamond Buchanan. Seisha Burton. Orisha Campbell. Sashay Chamberlain. Miashe Clark. Aliyah DeRue. Ashley Ebanks. Janae Ebanks. Osharian Evans. Nicole Francis. Shande Frater. Alia Green. Shanae Harris. Kadane Hollingsworth. Zoe Howe. Ashley Johnson. Alia Levy. Kathleen Malab. Jasmine McFarlane. Angel Miller. Kalicia Neal. Lishay Parchment. Tonya Plummer. Renee Reed. Shantwain Salmon. Alicia Ricketts. Tonya Rowe. Sabrina Simpson. Ashley Spence. Tanika Stewart. Jessica Thompson. Kelly Toyloy. Lorraine Walfall. Dejanay White.
1160, Aisha Alwood, Tanika Banton, Alia Bennett, Rikalia Bennett, Shanique Bray, Jade Burkett, Moika Cameron, Brianna Campbell, Renicia Clark, Summer Daly, Ashley Dennis, Renelia Dinham, Vasiana Dufus, Danica Dunkley, Gabriella Dunn, Monet Gale, Kim Ashley Gray, Annalie Gross, Anna Marie Hausen, Brianna Johnson, Akira Levy, Shamara Levy, Justina McDonald, Mishka May McGill, Jessica McKnight, Jade Miller, Danielle Mondel, Nikosha Neal, Jelana Patrick, Akishma Payne, Danielle Powell, Rojana Reed, Shanice Roy, Camille Simpson, Deidria Tain, Joelle May Thompson, Sujana Wallace, Annabelle Williams Humes, Nikalia Witter, Ashanti Wright, Okelia Wright. 1164. Melody Anderson, Chrisanne Barnes, Bricalia Barrett, Keandra Binns, Brianna Brown, Siobhan Burnett, Dwaynique Campbell, Salia Cooper, Asana Shea Donaldson, Star Evans, Casey Ann Fletcher, Davia Garwood, Jada Hall, Lashania Heron, Ayana Hill, Kenya Irons, Kareen James, Joanne Johnson, Shirley Lewis, Brianna Littleton, Samanique McIntosh, Lisa K. Mills, Kalila Morris, Chrisanne Nelson Trail, Janelle Palmer, Shanique Powell, Kiara Price, Venicia Robinson, Shanray Shirley, Sadiq Slowly, Lamoni Suarez, Janice Thomas, Nikayla Thompson, Unique Waysome, Danielle Williams, Shawana Williams, Talicia Wright.
1168. Radhika Binns, Odette Blair, Kalia Brown, Shanice Brown, Brittany Burton, Kira Campbell, Grayson Cranston, Shafe Davis, Hawisha Dennis, Toriani Doyle, Brianna Farquharson, Brittany Forrester, Lauren Foster, Tiana Fraser, Bianca Gooden, Caitlin Hammond, Brante Higgins, Chinelo Izochukwu, Tasania Johnson, Nikisha Lindo, Cheyenne McKnight, Zandria Morgan, Bianca Nemard, Dacian Perry, Britannia Penedo, Sarah Lee Reed, Tanis Richards, Chelsea Robinson, Dejane Robinson, Kimara Russell, Kere Shirley, Rajna Sinclair, Joel Smith, Liana Smith, Shanice Stewart, Shanae Thomas, Dejane Vassell, Tashelle Watson, Jamil Williams, and Raquel Williams. The grade 13 cohort of the graduating class of 2020 has matriculated to 2 or more universities. We are proud of you ladies and wish you all the best in the next chapter of your lives. Congratulations, ladies. The ladies of 1376 are Rayanne Bernard, Stony Brook University, Florida Institute of Technology. Tiana Bramwell, Ann Huey Medical University, University of the West Indies. Moesha Brooks, University of the West Indies. Gianna Brown, York University, University of Havana. Daniel Chambers, Wenzhou Medical University, University of Technology. Leanne Clark, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Brianna Foster, Ann Huey Medical University, University of the West Indies. Abigail Griffiths, Caribbean Maritime University. Chanel Hanson, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Huandra Hill, University of the West Indies, Caribbean Maritime University. Tiana James, York University. Shakira Lambert, University of the West Indies. Reese Lloyd, University of Toronto, University of the West Indies. Ashika Miller, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Sharik MacDonald, University of the West Indies. Carissa Robinson, University of the West Indies. Joanna Rodney, University of Technology. Shanika Rowe, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Lois Spencer, University of Technology, University of British Columbia. Annalie Thomas, Ann Huey Medical University. Chelsea Trout, Arizona State University and American University of Medicine. Danica Tyson, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. And Melanie White, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. The ladies of 1380 are Sidenia Allen, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Shade Anglin, Tucson Bikari. Daniel Brennan, Howard University, Adelphi University. Cameron Clark, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Daniel Koff, University of the West Indies. Candace Elliott, Ann Huey Medical University. Chechen State University. Stephanie Forbes, University of the West Indies. Vanessa Gowdy, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Gabrielle Lloyd, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Paige Mayer, University of Plymouth, University of Technology. Rickey Marshall, University of the West Indies. Noella McGregor, University of Technology, University of the West Indies. Shona Richards, University of the West Indies. Mona and Cave Hill, University of Technology. Anna Ray Rowe, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Ashley Russell, Church Teachers College. Shannon Smith, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Portia Spence, University of the West Indies. Timothea Thompson, University of British Columbia, University of Toronto. Danielle Vernon, Sashana Williams, University of the West Indies, Northern Caribbean University, and Cisandria Wilson, University of the West Indies, University of Technology.
I will now present the graduates of 1384 and 1388. Shakiria Archer, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Kimona Blackwood, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Abigail Booth, University of the West Indies. Terry Gay Brooks, Michael University. Chrisanne J. Brown, University of Technology, University of the West Indies. Courtney Chana, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Alyssa Clark, University of Technology, University of Toronto. Brittany Davidson, University of the West Indies. Dennis Kellia, Lakayla Dockery, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Ruth Ann Facey, the Northern Caribbean University, the University of Saskatchewan. Kimon Gordon, University of Technology. Shanae Hamilton, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Travania Hilton. Kalia Jones, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Brianna Neal, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Kara Roach, Maritime Caribbean University, University of the West Indies. Adria Skeffrey, University of Technology, University of the West Indies. Shade Stevens, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Rachel Stewart, University of the West Indies, Lynn University. Kavella Swaby, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Dave Vassell, University of Toronto, Trent University. Naomi White, University of Technology, University of the West Indies. Rochelle White, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Danielia Williamson, University of the West Indies, University of Havana. Class of 1388, Shamoya Baker, University of the West Indies. Sharicia Bose, Talia Cameron, Kishari Clark, Caribbean Maritime University. Tasha Gay Clark, Tanalia Darian, Tatiana Griffiths, Brittany Hanson, University of the West Indies. Tijuana Irving, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Alia Lewis, Tiana Loftus, University of the West Indies. Denisa Malcolm, Enika McKay, Alana McLean, University of the West Indies. Alia McLeod, University of the West Indies, Caribbean Maritime University. Moya Mulgrave, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Ruth Ann Powell, Sinead Rose, Kedisha Salmon, Anika Samuels, Tina Smith, Rochelle Stephen, Alia Williams, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Shanice Wilson, University of the West Indies. Shaville Wright, University of the West Indies, University of Technology. Congratulations, ladies. All the best in your endeavors. for the love that surround me, the love that my family show me. Yeah, they say I'll never make it. The dreams I'm chasing, I'm all alone. I am destined for greatness, time to embrace it, breaking the mold. Destined for greatness. Destined for greatness.
Dr. John Gordon, Chairman of the Monroe and Dickinson Trust, members of the Monroe and Dickinson Trust, Dr. Nadine Leachman, Regional Director of the Ministry of Education, Region 5, Mr. Wesley Barrett, Chairman of the Board of Management, Ms. Coral Ray, Senior Education Officer, Mr. Andrew Miles, Territorial Education Officer, Mrs. Mavel Charlton Brown, Principal, Mrs. Roseanne Lowndes and Miss Sharon Powell, Vice Principals, Miss Judith Montague, President of the Hampton Old Girls Association, members of the Hampton Old Girls Association. Our guest speaker, Mrs. Nicole McLaren Campbell, members of the academic, administrative, and auxiliary staff, parents, fellow graduates, a pleasant morning to you all. It was Nelson Mandela who said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." Our presence here today is a testimony that you have all believed and invested in us because we are the agents of change for tomorrow. Today, we are here celebrating years of excellence. 2 years for our sixth formers who joined the Hampton family at Lower Six, 5 years for our auspicious fifth formers, and 7 years for our spirited classmates who started the journey at first form. Indeed, with God, all things are possible. Ladies, give yourselves a pat on the shoulder. I am truly honored and grateful to be the valedictorian of the graduating class of 2020. I want to first salute my classmates and graduates. Congratulations, we made it. Class of 2020, aren't you excited? This is the day we have been waiting for, and it is finally here. It has been a bittersweet year. One can remember that it is during 2020 that our academic experience changed abruptly from face-to-face to one of virtual teaching and learning. This was an experience we will never forget. Many can attest to the fears and the anxiety that the corona pandemic brought to our lives. Looking back, I know even my fifth formers can agree that it was hard to adjust to virtual classes, especially with the numerous Zoom meetings, WhatsApp groups, and Google Classrooms. At times, I know we were frustrated because we had to download assignments, interact with our classmates and teachers through electronic devices. Even though it was challenging, we have overcome these adversities. Ladies, find comfort in the words of Joseph B. Worthlin, American businessman and religious leader, who said, "As with the butterfly, adversity is necessary to build character in people. As you overcome adversity in your life, you will become stronger." And so today, even as we celebrate our victories under the theme, "Awaken Our Dreams, Igniting Our Passion, the World Awaits," for the purpose of my address, I have condensed our theme to be "Awaken Our Dreams, Overcoming Adversities." Fellow graduates, we have faced several adversities. Let us reminisce on a few of them. Do you realize we were the first to be on the new third form block? And then we were the first to have a math and English school-based assessment. And later, we were the first to have undergone a lightning storm, which was a traumatic experience. And we are the first cohort to experience a coronavirus pandemic, which led to us doing everything virtually, including our graduation ceremony being held today. Though these experiences presented great challenges, we have overcome these adversities. Ladies, you may not see it or believe it, but we have the stamina to stand through any storm that life brings. You must be unshakable, even in moments of uncertainty. Overcoming adversity is not impossible, and we have proven this. I stand here today to encourage you that it is through the process of tackling our challenges head-on that we undergo transformation, which prepares us for the future. Hamptonians, here are ways we can transform our minds and achieve success. First, our thoughts are essential. We must have a positive outlook on life. Therefore, we must realize that difficulty is not designed to derail us, but to develop us. Second, we should stop making excuses. These are lies that we tell ourselves when we are afraid of the future. Excuses will keep us in a limited space. Stop making them. Third, do not take no for an answer, because trials will occur in your life, but you must never stop trying. Finally, and above all, always remember to put God first, as with God, all things are possible. Before I proceed, I must let you know that life presents us with not only difficulty, but also individuals to help us along the way. Our high school journey, and most importantly, our lives would not be the same without their involvement. Hamptonians, can you still remember our early days when we began our journey here at Hampton? I know that many of us were curious, excited, and overjoyed. It was always a dream to attend a school known to produce leaders of the finest ilk. In grade 7, there were a few memories that we will forever cherish, like the motherly and tender loving care of Mrs. Unwary and Mrs. Wilson, who were like second mothers to us. For those who were boarders, we remember Miss Reed, our senior resident mistress, who never failed to provide entertainment on the weekends and who often regurgitated the rules which are in place at Hampton. We must also appreciate the host mothers who made sure that our boarding experience was a smooth one. In addition, acknowledgement must be made of the kitchen staff, Mrs. Taylor, Mrs. Allwood, Mr. Dwight, and their team, who provided the best nuggets and fries and other sumptuous meals during our tenure at Hampton. Our boarding experience has taught us that it takes a village to raise a child. Hampton has been our village and our haven. Boarders, I know you have always felt at home as we remember the jocular and vibrant Mr. White, who chuckled at his own jokes, or Nurse Sterling, who ensured we were healthy and well taken care of at the Wellness Center. One must always remember that thoughtful words and kind gestures, however small they may seem, meant a great deal and often gave us the strength that we needed to carry on. So I say a special thank you to all members of the boarding community. To our teachers, who have played many differing roles, as they were counselors, confidants, mentors, disciplinarians, and facilitators. You have imparted invaluable life lessons which we can never repay. And so we say thank you to all the academic staff, including our guidance counselors. The graduating cohort extends special thanks to our year group supervisors, Mrs. Daly Williams, Mr. Graham and Mr. Hall. Form teachers, Miss Sinclair, Mrs. Knight Blackwood, Mrs. Green Daly, Miss McIntyre, Miss Shaw, Miss Williams, Mrs. Johnson, Miss Davis, Mrs. Bahadur, and our career advisor, Miss Samuda. The Hampton School family is one that we will miss dearly. A hearty thank you goes out to the administrative staff, which includes our system administrator, accounts department, receptionist, secretaries, lab technicians, and the library staff. Gratitude must also be given to the auxiliary staff and our transport operators who kept us safely on the road. I must say, the high point of my Hampton journey has been my tenure as the head girl of this academic year. It was a memorable experience, but without the support of the following individuals, it would not have been worthwhile. I wish to recognize our principal, Mrs. Charlton Brown, vice principals, Mrs. Lowndes and Miss Powell, dean, Miss Charlton, senior teacher with responsibility to discipline, Mrs. Henry, my deputies, Shona Richards and Gianna Brown, prefects and sub-prefects. Your tenacity and strength have been evident even throughout the hardest times, and I could not have asked for a more supportive team. President of the Students' Council and Sixth Form Association, Daniel Chambers, you have been an inspiration to us all. What can I say about our families, friends, and relatives? You have been present with us from day one. We are truly thankful to our parents who gave us the inspiration and encouragement, especially when times were tough. Thank you for paying the bus fees, school fees, providing lunch money, and other necessities while being at Hampton. Thank you for being you. My fellow graduates, please take this moment to reflect on the good times, the bad, the moments you have had with your classmates, teachers, friends, and family, but most importantly, the adversities you have overcome. As Martin Luther King Jr. once said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and, might I add, adversity. Therefore, I believe overcoming the adversities we faced yesterday has made us strong, resilient, and phenomenal women of today. I leave you with these words of inspiration from the former First Lady of the United States of America, Michelle Obama. Don't be afraid. Be focused. Be determined. Be hopeful. Be empowered. Congratulations, class of 2020. We did it.
It was William Arthur Ward who said, "Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it." Today, the class of 2020 wishes to express our appreciation to those who have made this day possible. With all the uncertainties which clouded our view of celebrating our accomplishments, a number of individuals have holistically combined their knowledge, skills, expertise, and time to ensure that our accomplishments could have been celebrated today. Firstly, we thank God for having journeyed with us over these years. We have endured because of His strength, and as we take this step forward, charting our way to becoming the best of ourselves, we know that He will continue to guide our steps. To those whose work oftentimes go unnoticed, working behind the scenes, especially to our hardworking and resilient media and production team, set the stage, we say thank you. We want you to know that your sacrifices have not gone unnoticed. To the chairman of the Monroe and Dickinson Trust, Dr. John Gordon, chairman of the Board of Management, Mr. Wesley Barrett, our regional director, Dr. Nadine Leachman, Senior Education Officer, Ms. Coral Ray, Territorial Education Officer, Mr. Andrew Miles, all from the Ministry of Education, Region 5, our esteemed headmistress, Mrs. Mavelle Charlton Brown, Vice Principals, Mrs. Roseanne Lowndes and Ms. Sharon Powell, to the Hampton All Girls Association, the PCA, and our hardworking schools chaplain, Reverend Orlando Gale, we say a resounding thank you to you all. Your contributions towards this special and memorable day have significantly warmed our hearts with gratefulness. Mrs. Nicole McLaren Campbell, you are indeed a sensational speaker. Your profound words of encouragement as we make our transition into uncharted territories have been etched into our hearts forever. We say thank you. As we humbly close this chapter of our lives, we thank everyone who have contributed immensely to our unforgettable journey here at Hampton. The academic staff, which has not only shared their knowledge and skills with us, but who have cared and loved with patience and watched us bloom into leaders of the finest ilk. Thank you. The administrative staff who ensured that we are duly informed and updated, thank you. And a special thanks to our ancillary staff who ensured our environment was always clean and kept coronavirus free. You are all parts of the reason why we are here today. Finally, special thanks to our parents and guardians for your unwavering support and countless sacrifices so that we could have reached this milestone. We are grateful and we salute you. Thank you again to everyone. May God favor and bless you richly.
There is an end where all things peace, and in
minutes for God's blessing. May the God, who is the source of all goodness and growth, pour his blessings upon his children, that you may use his gifts to bring honor and glory to his holy name, and the welfare of all people. And the blessing of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be with you, now and forevermore.